Super Mario World, the game that introduced us to Yoshi, secret exits, and an unhealthy obsession with collecting every single coin in sight. Whether you were a kid in the 90s or you discovered it on the Switch yesterday, this masterpiece is still a cornerstone of gaming greatness. But here's the thing, this game isn't just a blast from the past, it's the game that defined platformers for generations to come. Think of it as a blueprint for fun, frustration, and the inevitable, wait, how did I miss that secret exit moment? Released in 1990 in Japan and in 1991 everywhere else, Super Mario World was the crown jewel of the SNES launch. And let's be real, it wasn't just a game, it was an experience. Nintendo came out swinging and said, look what our shiny new console can do, and gamers everywhere collectively said, take our money. In this video, we're diving deep into the magic of Super Mario World, its gameplay, design, and why it's still as relevant today as it was when mullets were considered fashionable. This game is timeless, but the mullets, maybe not so much. And if you've ever wondered why your childhood self thought you could fly with a cape, well, you've got this game to thank. So let's jump, spin, and cape glide right into one of the greatest games ever made. Let's rewind to the early 90s, when the SNES was fresh off the production line. The NES was still thriving, and Super Mario World was about to redefine what it meant to be a platformer. Nintendo wasn't just releasing a console, they were dropping the mic. At the heart of it all was the man, the myth, the legend, Shigeru Miyamoto. You know, the guy who basically shaped modern gaming as we know it. He and his team at Nintendo EAD weren't just aiming to make another Super Mario game, they wanted to create the Mario game, a game that showed off every single bell and whistle the SNES could muster. And boy did they deliver. With the SNES's shiny new 16-bit hardware, Super Mario World introduced visuals that popped like never before. Look at those parallax scrolling backgrounds. This was a time when gamers were literally saying, wait, the background can move? What kind of sorcery is this? Compared to its predecessor Super Mario Bros. 3, this was a massive upgrade. Think of it like going from a flip phone to the latest smartphone. You didn't know you needed it, but once you got it, there was no going back. And let's talk about the elephant, or rather the dinosaur, in the room, Yoshi. Miyamoto had been dreaming of putting Mario on a dinosaur since the original Super Mario Bros., but the NES just couldn't handle it. The SNES, on the other hand, said, dinosaurs? We got you covered. And so, the world fell in love with the hungry green guy who could eat everything, including enemies twice his size. Iconic. Another game changer? The Switch Palaces. Miyamoto and his team added mechanics that gave the world of Dinosaur Land a sense of discovery and interactivity that felt groundbreaking at the time. Suddenly, you weren't just playing levels, you were unlocking secrets and shaping the game world itself. When Super Mario World hit store shelves, it was more than a launch title. It was a statement. This wasn't just Mario's world, it was Nintendo's way of saying, we're about to dominate the gaming industry again. Spoiler alert, they weren't wrong. So, now that we know where this masterpiece came from, let's dive into what made it such a joy to play. It involves flying, jumping, and yes, lots and lots of eating things with Yoshi. Onward to gameplay. So let's talk about why Super Mario World is still one of the most satisfying games to play. It's the gameplay. This isn't just your average run and jump platformer. It's like Nintendo took everything they learned from the NES Mario games, sprinkled in some magic, and said, here, have fun for the rest of your life. First up, there's Mario's moveset. Not only could you jump, but you could spin jump. Let me tell you, that little twirl wasn't just for show. It let you break blocks, bounce off enemies you couldn't stomp, and generally you just felt like a ballerina of destruction. And then there's the cape feather. Forget flight simulators, this was peak aviation. You could launch into the air, glide over entire levels, and then come crashing down like an adorable mustachioed missile. It was so overpowered, but we loved it anyway. Cape feather supremacy. Now, we can't talk about gameplay without giving Yoshi his moment in the spotlight. He wasn't just a sidekick, he was a game changer. Yoshi could eat enemies, walk on spikes, and even give Mario an extra hit point. Oh, and if you accidentally sent him plummeting into the lava to save yourself, well, we've all been there. Sorry, buddy. The power-ups in Super Mario World are simple but effective. The Fire Flower made its triumphant return, letting you roast enemies like marshmallows. The Super Mushroom? It's a classic. But the Cape Feather? That was the showstopper. Forget the Tanuki suit. This was the ultimate tool for speedrunners and explorers alike. And let's talk about secrets. Oh, there were so many secrets. Hidden keys, alternative exits, entire levels that you'd miss if you didn't explore. Every time you thought you'd beaten the game, it threw another surprise at you. Star Road? Incredible. Special World? Pure chaos. I mean, who really finished Tubular on their first try? Come on, be honest. The Switch Palaces were another brilliant addition. These weren't just power-ups, they were game changers. Unlocking one meant you'd find helpful blocks scattered across the world, making tough levels easier, or at least slightly less rage-inducing. Every level felt like its own mini-adventure. You had underwater levels, ghost houses that made you question your sanity, and even stages where the screen forced you to keep moving. Shout out to anyone who lost a life because they panicked and ran into a Koopa. We've all been there. So what made Super Mario World so special? It was the perfect blend of simplicity and depth. Whether you were a casual player just trying to save Princess Peach, or a perfectionist hunting down all 96 exits, the game had something for everyone. And that's just scratching the surface. The level design, mechanics, and power-ups all work together to create something timeless. So now that we know how the game plays, let's talk about what makes it look and sound so amazing. Let's talk about what made Super Mario World really pop, the design and the presentation. From the moment you saw that colorful overworld map, you just knew you were in for something special. Bright, bold, and full of charm, this game looked like a Saturday morning cartoon that you could play. The visuals were groundbreaking for their time. Those 16-bit graphics brought Mario's world to life in a way that had never been seen before. Every enemy, every level, every background, everything just felt alive. Even the clouds had faces, which, let's be honest, raised more questions than answers, but hey, they were adorable. Compared to its NES predecessor, Super Mario Bros. 3, this game was a quantum leap forward. More colors, smoother animations, and dynamic backgrounds that actually moved. It was like upgrading from a flipbook to a feature film. And let's not forget about the atmosphere. The ghost houses were legit spooky, with dim lighting and creepy music that made you second guess every move. For a kid, it was like, is this a Mario game, or am I about to get jump scared? And then there's the Special World, where Nintendo decided to crank the weirdness up to 11. Neon colors, bizarre level names like Tubular and Funky, and music that sounded like it came from a Mario rave. It was like Mario said, let's get funky, and we were all here for it. Speaking of the music, it's absolutely amazing. Koji Kondo, the legend himself, composed a soundtrack that perfectly captures every mood. Whether you were gliding through a sunny level or sweating through a lava-filled castle, the music pulled you right in. And here's a fun fact, most of the game's tracks are actually just remixes of the same melody. Mind-blowing, right? The enemies are another highlight. From the classic Koopa Troopa to the Chargin' Chuck, every design is memorable. Even the Magic Koopa, who we all hated for ruining our perfectly timed jumps, was unforgettable. Love him or hate him, they gave the game its unique personality. And then there's Bowser. The final fight wasn't just epic, it was cinematic. The ominous music, the dark clouds, and the clown car that somehow still fit his massive frame. It was the perfect finale. In the end, the design and presentation of Super Mario World wasn't just about looking good, it was about creating a world that felt alive. Every level, every character, every pixel was crafted with care, and honestly, it's still a joy to look at today. Now that we've covered how the game plays and why it looks and sounds amazing, let's get into how much of an impact this game had on gaming as a whole. Next up, why Super Mario World isn't just a great game, it's a legend. Super Mario World didn't just drop onto the SNES, it exploded onto the gaming scene and left a mushroom-shaped mark that's still visible today. With over 20 million copies sold, it's not just one of the best-selling SNES games, it's one of the best-selling games ever. That's right, this little plumber and his dinosaur sidekick conquered the gaming world. When this game launched in 1990, it wasn't just a hit, it was a phenomenon. Kids begged their parents for a SNES just to play this game. And let's be real, some adults probably use their kids as an excuse to buy it too. No, honey, it's for little Timmy, really? Sure it is. But Super Mario World wasn't just a commercial success, it was a cultural moment. It cemented Mario as the king of platformers and made Yoshi an instant fan favorite. I mean, name another dinosaur from the 90s that's still this popular. Sorry, Barney, it ain't you. The game's design also inspired a new way of thinking about platformers. It wasn't just about beating levels, it was about discovering everything. The hidden exits, the secret paths, and challenging special world levels turned players into explorers. Suddenly, finishing the game wasn't enough. You had to 1% it to really feel accomplished. And speaking of challenges, let's talk speedrunning. Super Mario World is huge in the speedrunning community. From glitch-free runs to insane credit warp tricks that break the game in a matter of minutes, this game has kept players coming back for decades. It's basically the Olympics of platformers. And let's not forget the fans. ROM hacks like Kaizo Mario have taken the game to a whole new level of difficulty and insanity. These fan-made challenges push the mechanics to their absolute limits. It's like Nintendo handed us a masterpiece and the internet said, "Hold my controller." The game has also spawned a legacy of sequels and spin-offs. Yoshi's Island, anyone? Without Super Mario World, we wouldn't have Yoshi's Solo Adventure, and that would be a tragedy. We owe it all to this game for giving Yoshi his big break. Even today, Super Mario World is still going strong. It's been ported to pretty much every Nintendo console since the SNES. Switch? Yep. SNES Classic? Yep. Game Boy Advance? You betcha. Virtual Console? Yeah, it's there. Are you even paying attention? At this point, it's easier to list where you can't play it. So why does it still matter? Because Super Mario World isn't just a game, it's a blueprint. It showed the industry what platformers could be. Fun, challenging, full of secrets, and endlessly replayable. Without it, modern gaming as we know it just wouldn't be the same. It's more than a classic, it's a legend. A game that's still inspiring players, developers, and speedrunners alike 35 years later. Now that's what you call a legacy. Alright, so now we've covered how Super Mario World changed the game, literally, but does it hold up in today's world of 4K graphics and open world epics? Let's find out. Alright, so here's the million coin question. Why is Super Mario World still considered one of the greatest games of all time? What is it about this 16-bit classic that keeps players coming back, even in an era of 4K graphics and open world everything? Well, buckle up, because we're about to break it down. First off, let's talk about accessibility. Super Mario World is one of those rare games that's easy to pick up, but hard to master. Whether you're a total newbie or a seasoned speedrunner, there's something here for everyone. It's the video game equivalent of pizza, universally loved and always satisfying. And then there's the exploration. No matter how many times you play it, there's always something new to find. Hidden exits, secret levels, Star Road, Special World. It's like the gift that keeps on giving. Even now, players are discovering new strategies and tricks, decades after release. Seriously, how many games can say that? The level design is another reason this game stands the test of time. Every stage feels handcrafted, with just the right balance of challenge and fun. You know how some modern games feel like they're just trying to frustrate you? Super Mario World is tough, sure, but it's also fair. When you die, it's not because the game was cheap, it's because you panicked and ran into a Goomba. Admit it. Super Mario World also set the standard for what a Mario game and a platformer should be. You can see its DNA in every Mario game that came after, whether it's the expansive levels of Super Mario Odyssey or the creative challenges of Super Mario Maker. It all goes back to this game. Speaking of innovation, let's not forget the speedrunning community. Thanks to its tight controls and hidden mechanics, Super Mario World has become a playground for gamers who laugh in the face of logic and say, "What if I beat this game in 3 minutes?" Absolute legends. And here's the thing, it still feels great to play today. The controls are buttery smooth, the visuals are timelessly charming, and the music, don't even get me started. It's burned into my brain in the best way possible. Plus, let's be honest, there's no better feeling than flying over an entire level with the cape feather. Some call it cheating, I call it strategic brilliance. But it's not just the gameplay that makes it timeless, it's the emotional connection. For so many of us, Super Mario World was our first big gaming adventure. It's a slice of nostalgia that reminds us of simpler times when all we had to worry about was saving Princess Peach and finding the next Switch Palace. So why is Super Mario World timeless? Because it's not just a game, it's an experience. It's a masterpiece of design, a treasure trove of secrets, and a love letter to everything gaming should be. Fun, creative, and endlessly replayable. Whether you're playing it for the first time or the 100th, Super Mario World has this magic that never fades, and that's why, 35 years later, it's still one of the greatest games of all time. Now, if you'll excuse me, I think I've got some secret exits to find. Let's go! And here we are, the final level, my closing thoughts on Super Mario World. If you've made it this far, you already know this game isn't just a classic, it's a masterpiece. But let's take a moment to appreciate what truly makes it special. First of all, let's give it up for the sheer joy this game brings. From the tight controls to the catchy music, every moment feels like a celebration of what gaming is about. Fun, creativity, and a little bit of chaos. Admit it, you've smiled at least once while watching this video. What's even more impressive is how Super Mario World has stood the test of time. Whether you're playing it on the original SNES, the Switch, or let's be honest, an emulator, it's just as magical today as it was in 1990. It's like the gaming equivalent of a fine wine, or maybe a fine mushroom. For many of us, this game is more than just a platformer, it's a memory. It's staying up way past bedtime to find that secret exit. It's yelling, "No!" as Yoshi falls into a pit because you panicked. It's passing the controller to a friend and cheering him on, or laughing when they fail. Super Mario World is gaming nostalgia in its purest form. But nostalgia alone doesn't make a game great. What sets Super Mario World apart is how well it holds up. The mechanics are tight, the level design is brilliant, and the sense of discovery is unmatched. It's a game you can revisit again and again, and it never feels old. How many games can you say that about? It's not just a game, it's a legacy. It set the gold standard for platformers, inspired countless sequels, and solidified Mario's place as the king of gaming. Without it, the gaming world as we know it might look very different. So whether you're a veteran who's played this game 100 times, or a newcomer just picking it up for the first time, there's always something magical waiting for you in Dinosaur Land. And if you've never played it, what are you waiting for? Fire up that SNES or your Switch and experience the magic for yourself. And there you have it. There's our journey through the iconic, unforgettable world of Super Mario World. From its masterful gameplay to its cultural impact, it's not just a game, it's a legend. Whether you're dusting off a SNES cartridge or firing it up on your Switch, this game proves that some things really do get better with time. And really, how many games can you still talk about today with this much excitement over 3 decades later? Super Mario World isn't just a relic of gaming history, it's a reminder of what makes games timeless. Fun, creativity, and an irresistible sense of discovery. If this video made you want to dust off your SNES or relive some old childhood memories, I'd love to hear about it. Drop your favorite Super Mario World moment in the comments, whether it's the one time you finally nailed a perfect cape glide or your epic battle against Bowser. I want to hear about it. Thanks for joining me on this trip down memory lane, or should I say warp pipe. If you've enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share it with your fellow Mario fans. And hey, if you enjoyed this trip, don't forget to give it a thumbs up, subscribe to NES Chronicles, and hit that notification bell so you'll never miss another retro gaming review. We've got plenty more nostalgic adventures to go on. Thanks for watching, and until next time, keep running, keep jumping, and keep gaming. I'm out.